नमस्कार, मैं हूं आपका होस्ट और दोस्त अशोक राज और मेरे साथ हैं संतोष मेनन जो कि एक बहुत ही प्रसिद्ध फेमस चेहरा हैं कोलंबो में। और आज बात करेंगे मीडिया फेस्ट जो कि पहली बार हो रहा है इस कोलंबो में, जो इंडिया और श्रीलंका के बीच में गहरे रिश्ते को बयां करता है। थैंक यू सो मच टू कमिंग माय शो। व्हाट इज मीडिया फेस्ट एंड वेयर इट कम्स फ्रॉम इन योर माइंड?
We started an organization called Sri Lanka-India Media Friendship Association a year ago.
Right.
And the intention behind starting that association was to create closer engagement between Indian journalists and Sri Lankan journalists.
Right.
And while we were thinking of something that we can do, the idea of doing the Media Fest occurred to us. And the intention behind doing Media Fest, which is actually happening in Colombo this evening, and through tomorrow,
Right.
is to have engagement between Sri Lankan journalists and Indian journalists. So we have 4 very prominent journalists from India and media people from India coming down.
Right.
And we have a whole host of Sri Lankan journalists,
Wow.
very experienced ones. And there's going to be this wonderful conversation between all of us together on various topics that matter for journalists and for media. We think having these conversations now at this point and having these full day engagements and inviting people who are associated with journalism
Right.
to these events today evening and tomorrow will help create a strong bond between India and Sri Lanka, especially in the context of media. Already India and Sri Lanka are close, but this particular activity will, I'm sure, create closer bonds between Indian journalists and Sri Lankan journalists.
Yeah, it's nice topic and nice initiatives, Santosh. Tell me, the Prime Minister Modi has visited recently to the island city, and there was a lots of discussions, MOU signed. Do you believe two countries are coming more closer than before?
I would go as far as to say that this is perhaps the closest ever that India and Sri Lanka have been, in at least in the last 2, 3, 4 decades. So to that extent, I think it's a landmark visit. I think the optics were fantastic. The relationship and the chemistry between the Indian Prime Minister and the Sri Lankan President was awesome. There are great images of both of them doing things together. But I think even beyond the chemistry between the two leaders, it was obvious that there was chemistry between the team of the president and the prime ministerial team as well. So there's a lot of positives from this visit, and I do think that the ensuing few weeks and months are the times when there's a best opportunity for India and Sri Lanka to get closer together.
In terms of trade and businesses, we are talking about between two countries. Do you think that new regime is more not keen? Keen is not a word, like more positive to attract Indian businessmen or investors to come Sri Lanka and invest here?
No, I think so. I'm 100% convinced that the current government is very keen on attracting Indian investments. One of the key challenges that this government faces is this whole thing related to debt. There is a debt payment to be made in 2028, and to that extent, the only way the debt payments can be made successfully is if enough revenue is generated.
Right.
So I think there is a tax context going on, and there is an attempt at generating revenue through tax. But I think there's also a concerted attempt being made to generate revenue through investment,
Okay.
through trade, through tourism. And tourism, in a tourism context, I have to say that Indians are the single largest tourists to Sri Lanka. It's around 455,000 per year.
Wow, it's a huge number.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, my perspective is slightly different. It's in that, there are 30 million Indians traveling every year around the world, but only 450,000 are coming here.
Yeah.
So in reality, for me, the potential for getting more and more Indians here is huge, and more attempts need to be made to bring more Indian travelers into Sri Lanka, but not just your value traveler. I think Indians nowadays have a lot of money to spend,
Right.
and Indians are traveling around the world and spending big monies.
True.
If we can attract the rich Indian who spends
High-end tourist.
yes, the 700, 800, $900 per night tourist, if we can attract them to Sri Lanka and bring them down, and I can tell you one thing, the kind of places there are in Sri Lanka, even $1,200 per night tourist will not find it a waste.
Yes.
It's got great value, great destinations, lovely locations, great experiences. And I think this is the kind of thing that really needs to happen.
Right.
It's not just about numbers, it's the quality of Indian tourists that should come into Sri Lanka. And I think those are the kind of people that can make a significant difference to the local economy.
I can say confidently that Indian tourists are more ghumakkad than other countries. And soon after the economic crisis, when the new regime has come in the Ranil Singhe's tenure, the government focused more on attract tourists. And I believe that the then tourism minister was in India and said
Yes.
that we want to attract Indian tourism, come and enjoy your beaches, your weather and everything
Yes.
in the
Yes.
country.
Yes.
So you think that apart from India, then other countries can come to Sri Lanka and feel and invest in the country?
Yeah, I think Sri Lanka, I think from a tourism perspective, is a low-hanging fruit. I call it a low-hanging fruit because it's all there.
So,
Of course, the quality of places, the number of hotel rooms, etc., all that needs to be increased. But I think it's all a question of chicken and egg. Sometimes when there's demand, the
yeah,
supply automatically appears.
true.
So I think those are the things that one really needs to look at. But beyond tourism, also there are great opportunities. This is a country which is a very educated country.
Right.
It's geopolitically, it's also strategically very well placed. Kind of like a hub between Asia and Europe, and
Right.
Asia and the East.
Right.
So to that extent, it's also got some great advantages. It's got a literate, skilled population. I mean, I always say this to people. You take a look at any product that comes out of Sri Lanka, whether it's garments, whether it's tea, whether it is cinnamon,
Spaces.
spices, the quality of products are always
Yeah.
better.
Yep.
So obviously, when you talk of a population which is 22 million, you may not find large scale happening,
Right.
but whatever comes out of this country is always high quality. And I think if you're looking for high quality things to be done here, hotel rooms, etc., all that needs to be increased. But I think it's all a question of chicken and egg. Sometimes when there's demand, the supply automatically appears.
True.
So I think those are the things that one really needs to look at. But beyond tourism, also there are great opportunities. This is a country which is a very educated country.
Right.
It's geopolitically, it's also strategically very well placed. Kind of like a hub between Asia and Europe, and Asia and the East.
Right.
So to that extent, it's also got some great advantages. It's got a literate, skilled population. I mean, I always say this to people. You take a look at any product that comes out of Sri Lanka, whether it's garments, whether it's tea, whether it is cinnamon,
Spaces.
spices, the quality of products are always
Yeah.
better.
Yep.
So obviously, when you talk of a population which is 22 million, you may not find large scale happening,
Right.
but whatever comes out of this country is always high quality. And I think if you're looking for high quality things to be done here, this is a country to look at. And I think there is an opportunity. Obviously, it depends from country to country and specific areas for investment, etc. But that conversation can definitely happen.
So I believe that there are lots of migrations that has happened and reported. And do you think that if we are focusing on the key, what we are discussing about the trade, investment, tourism, and other aspects, we also curtail the migrations from the country,
Yeah,
which is the large
no,
scale?
I would think so, and I think so. For me, the issue is one of the key reasons why a lot of youngsters are now leaving the country of Sri Lanka and going is because after the economic crisis, everyone's very despondent. People feel, is there a future in this country? What happens to their children? Where are their children going to get educated? Do their children have a future? But I think if investments can come in and the economy can grow again, and we are able to give confidence to the people that this country has a great future,
Right.
then obviously at least a certain kind of migrant traveler, migrant going out to actually earn through their skills
Right.
might be persuaded to stay back. I also know majority of Sri Lankans would definitely always prefer to stay in this beautiful paradise island,
Yeah.
rather than go and struggle in some cold European country or
And other,
other places where it's not very
Deserted.
comfortable. Exactly.
Yeah.
Or other deserts which are too hot to go around. This is God's,
Yeah.
it's God gifted island. It's
Yes,
beautiful.
true.
It's like
Very
paradise.
beautiful. Yep.
But the point is this, that economics sometimes forces them to take those difficult decisions. If we are able to create an environment where the economic dividend returns to the country, I'm sure there will be a significant impact even on the number of people going out.
So Mr. Santosh is Indian origin. lives in Colombo, and this island city and this island country is very popular for the cricket.
Yes.
Yeah. So, are you interested in
Oh,
sports also?
very interesting. Cricket, definitely 100% interesting.
Who is your favorite?
Well, I think, in my school days when I was very little, I used to love Sunil Gavaskar.
Uh-huh.
And
Because of the Mumbaikar.
partly Mumbaikar, but I also felt that, when there used to always be a joke that when Sunil Gavaskar got out, then India went out like a pack of cards.
Like
those
Sachin
days.
Tendulkar, like Dhoni, like
Yeah.
Virat Kohli.
But over the years, I think the Indian team has become fantastic. I am a huge fan of the Indian team.
Okay.
I think current Indian team is unarguably one of the best teams in the world.
Okay.
And I think this team has so much commitment, so much focus on the game. People who say all kinds of nonsense about them, you will lose some games. Teams will lose, teams will win.
Right.
But I think from a consistency perspective, from a commitment perspective, from a skill perspective, from a talent perspective, I think the Indian team is definitely the best in the world.
Thank you so much, Mr. Santosh. And we have discussed a wide range of subject. I hope that Media Fest will cover this discussions as well. So if you are in anywhere in the world, if you want to track need, so you can Google it and you can go for the Media Fest. We are going several stories, like we did an interview with Santosh, and we will write something innovative things, what happened and what we are will go to happen in Media Fest, and we will forecast for you. Thank you.